Hello, this is Xbox Ahoy, and these are the bonus clips of my time with the AS50. Not so much in the way of footage this week, only 7 minutes of clips about, I reckon. But I think I only played 12 games of free-for-all, so, well, you know, not a bad yield. Okay, I guess. So anyway, I shall try and keep the questions relatively fast-paced. So, wasting no further time, on with the first one. The guest 676 asks, tactical or default? Simple question, simple answer. Tactical, unless I'm going for like a knifing challenge or something, which is very, very rarely. But yeah, usually tactical on pretty much all the CODs. Michael Dunn 03 asks, Stuart, which series so far would you say that you are most proud of? Well, assuming you allow me to count Behind the Lines, I'm probably going to have to say, yeah, Behind the Lines. That's the single video that had the most amount of work put into it. Other than that, I'm pretty proud of all of the stuff I do, I mean, really. But apart from Behind the Lines, also I'm quite a strong proponent of Game Over. I think that has potential. It needs to be developed a bit. I'm kind of in the process of evolving that, and the next episode I'll do, you'll probably see some fairly big changes to the structure of the series. Nothing too sweeping. It's going to be recognisable, but like I say, it's evolving. And I'm quite excited about Beverage Guide Express as well. I think that's a series that's got legs. But we'll see where that goes over the next few months. Donuts Rule 14 asks, I don't know if this was asked already, but Xbox Ahoy, Barrett 50 caliber or AS50? I've got to say, statistically speaking, the Barrett is the better weapon. I mean, the reload's a little bit slower, but the magazine size is double. Other than that, the recoil, I think, is actually identical. I'm pretty sure the statistics in that regard are exactly the same. And aim time, all of the important stuff is exactly the same. Damage is identical. So for the extra 5 rounds in the magazine, the Barrett would be my choice. Barano Beef Dip asks, do you take a glass of water to bed with you? No, not really, no. I'll have a drink before bed sometimes, and I'll drink when I wake up, but as far as during the night, I generally spend the majority of the night asleep, so a glass of water would only pose a spill hazard. And secondly, Pepsi or Coca-Cola? I like both, but I'm going to have to say Coca-Cola. Specifically, I'd say Diet Coke. That's probably my commonly available soft drink of choice. Unless we're talking, you know, stuff like root beer, big fan of root beer, or Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper Zero, specifically. Giovsky says, you said in the bonus org that you worked in the field of web developing and design. Any chance for a quick guide on something like that in the future? Maybe. I've considered serious content, video-wise, before, but it becomes a question of how do you make it visually interesting without the gameplay. I don't know. It's something that would probably go in my user interface channel, which I think has the grand total of 1 video and isn't particularly active, and I have nothing planned for it. But yeah, I do have this kind of latent desire to produce something serious, but I don't know what it is yet, and hopefully a whim will take me one day, like it did with Beverage Guide Express, and I'll produce something and it will be wonderful. Actually, one idea I've had for the user interface channel is a typeface guide. I think that would fit the model of, you know, the typical style of my videos relatively well. And from a design point of view, it would be pretty interesting. Lime Drizzle HD says, Stuart, is the AS50 in use with any military at the moment? Not as far as my research can tell, no. I can't find any record of it actually being employed. The only connection to any sort of real-life organisation is the fact that it was in testing with the Navy SEALs, but I think that was maybe 2007, 2008, and there's been no press release, there's been no updates since then, so I don't know. I guess maybe the rifle hasn't found any sort of commercial buyers. In fact, there's no sign of the AS50 on the Accuracy International website. Sneaky Ninja 623 says, Stuart, I saw a video on YouTube that said when you had a job offering last year, when you took a break from YouTube, the video said that you were going into rehab because you were an alcoholic and a drug addict from the pressure of YouTube, and he was interviewing you, and I very strongly believe it was your voice. Were you an alcoholic and drug addict? Simple answer, no, that was a commentary by Asker Kappa, who took various recordings of my voice and turned them into a fake interview in which he made up the scenario. I am not a drug addict, I am not an alcoholic, although it's early days with Beverage Guide Express, so we'll see how that turns out. Headshot Machine 1 says, Dear Xbox Ahoy, have you ever considered playing or switching over to PC? Well, I've been a PC gamer for about 20 years now, so it's not really a question of switching. As far as playing COD, I do play COD on the consoles. I don't really play it on PC. The thing is, I'm just more practiced on the console, so it's more comfortable at the moment. There would be an adjustment period for getting used to the mouse and keyboard again. Mr. Deriku says, Xbox Ahoy, are you feeling alright? Because you're losing in most of the clips. Hey man, sniping in free-for-all is pretty tricky. And I'm not the best sniper, I will admit that. It's always been my weakest suit, but, I make do, and I think for the most part my clips are okay. I liked my first opening clip, the 5 kills, 5 bullets. That was a nice clip. Other than that, everything was fairly pedestrian. But, it does. Xbox Hornet Nest 301 says, can you use American weight and size? Thanks. Now, I've been inconsistent with my weights and measures, largely because I am ambimetric. I'm fairly comfortable in either imperial or metric measurements. But I've made a decision that I am going to be more consistent in the future, and of course, I'm going to go with metric. Apologies if you can only think in inches. Apologies if you only weigh things in pounds. But metric is the future, I'm afraid. This next one I see come up quite a lot. Griefing 101 says, Hey Xbox, with Black Ops 2 being a futuristic FPS and the first in the COD series to do so, I was wondering how you would go about doing the weapon guides for this game, as most if not all of the guns in it look like they will have little to no real-world equivalent. Well, from what I've seen, most of the guns have at least a basis in real life. I mean, there's stuff like the M16 and the AK-47, those stalwarts are still there. Now, as for the X-ray sniper, we'll see. I'm pretty confident that every weapon features will be derived from a real-life platform, so honestly, I'm not worried at all about the history aspect. Oh, that's the end of the footage. I've got a few more questions. I'll do them in a black screen. ShadowWolf043 says, was the Activision contract forced on you, or did they offer money? Look, don't worry. The exclusivity contract terms are very much favourable to me. Needless to say, it is a very generous offer for not making videos. Quite right, 10,000 says, really, Stuart? Free-for-all again? Hey, I like free-for-all. And you spelt my name wrong. Model Omega says, Stuart, what's your favourite brand of tea? Once again, my name is spelt incorrectly. As far as tea's concerned, I'm actually not really a tea drinker. Heresy, I know. But I'd sooner have a coffee. Alright, here's the last question I plucked out. Jake's Kyra13 says, why on the Elite videos do you play on an account called X-Ray Alpha? Simple, the videos were going to go on the PS3 console app, and so they had to be platform agnostic. X-Ray Alpha is obviously the NATO alphabet for X and A, which is obviously it's a nod towards Xbox Ahoy, but it doesn't sort of run afoul of Sony's requirements as far as promoting the Xbox or another console on their own platform. As a point of note, that is not a real gamertag, at least not on Xbox Live, but rather it's on the Xbox Live development network called PartnerNet. Anyway, that's the last of the questions, so that concludes this week's bonus footage. There you go. On a Wednesday too, as well. This means that next up is another Beverage Guide Express. And thankfully, this time it's not a pale lager, it's actually something a little bit different. It's a beer that hails from Slovenia, in fact. Unfortunately, I made the mistake of buying a mixed crate of international beers, and they're all pale lagers. So there will be a few more of those in the weeks ahead. I've just finished the next batch of scripts. I produced them in groups of 4, which is about a month's worth of videos, and film them all at the same time and do all the scripts and editing at the same time, just to speed up the process a bit. And anyway, 3 of the next 4 are pale lagers, which is disappointing from a diversity point of view, but I think after I've done these 4 scripts, I'm going to mix it up a bit more. I've got a vodka that's coming up next, a very unusual vodka, and I'm also going to introduce a double episode, which is basically 2 episodes back to back, which are thematically related. I mentioned this in the comments once that I was going to do a gin and a tonic. That's going to come, but this is actually 2 varieties of the same beer. It's rather a shame I'm only doing one episode a week because I get so many requests for different beers and different all sorts of stuff. Quite a lot of people ask me to do a non-alcoholic drink, which I will do, but it might take me a little while to clear the backlog of the variety of ales that I've got piled up in my kitchen. I actually think at this point I've got enough to take me all the way till Christmas. But there are some very interesting drinks that will come up once we've cleared this initial backlog of pale lagers. I just received a crate of some very unusual drinks. There's a vodka in there, like I mentioned, and I have a mead coming up, and I've got a smoked beer as well from New Zealand. That's one of the reasons I love Beverage Guide Express, is it gives me an excuse to try new and exciting things. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I shall see you on a Friday afternoon for Beverage Guide Express. And of course on Sunday for another Black Ops guide. This week it's the PM63. So until then, farewell.